welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Amy. This is Kanan. He's helping me out today. He helps me out with most of our Universal Orlando content. That's what we're here talking about today. We are going to compare Cabana Bay Resort and Aventura. And I'm going to tell you something really quick before we get started. When I was doing a little bit of research on this, and I found that most people prefer one of these resorts over the other. And so it's going to be a little bit interesting how we felt about it versus what I've heard about it before. And so let's just get right into it. So we're going to talk about Universal's Aventura and Universal's Cabana Bay. So these two are more of the value resorts as far as Universal resorts go. Universal does have the Surfside and Dockside Endless Summer resorts now, which are kind of ultra value, so we're not going to talk about those. The reason why I wanted to compare Aventura and Cabana Bay is because they are pretty comparable price-wise. They cost about the same. Kanan really was excited about doing that. We were going to stay a couple nights at each. We stayed at Aventura first, and we're just going to kind of go down a list really quick with a few things about it, and then share some final thoughts at the end. So first, let's talk about value. They're about the same price, so you know what you get for your money. Honestly, with either resort, there is a lot of value because you get free transportation to Universal. We'll talk about access to the parks here in just a minute because it's a little different at Aventura versus at Cabana Bay. But you have access to the parks. You get 1 hour early entry into the parks, and early park admission. Not a lot of people here. Yeah, you get early access to the parks, which is nice, an hour earlier than everyone else, and free transportation to and from Universal. And it's very different than the transportation from the affiliated hotels, because that transportation only runs a couple times a day, and with with Universal's actual resorts, the transportation is running non-stop. And then we stayed in pretty much just your basic room because it was just the two of us. So size-wise, I would say they were about the same. They were almost exactly the same. A very small hotel room, but perfectly fine for 2 people, maybe even 3 people. If you have more than 4 people, you're going to have to get a suite, which is totally fine because you would want to, trust me. It's not enough room for a large family, but for 2 people, you know, it was a good size. The rooms do have mini fridges. They do not have microwaves, so just heads up on that. The suites, however, do have little kitchenettes, so if being able to make a few things in your room is important to you, you might consider that for your family. But what did you think about the rooms overall?
I thought they were good. One thing that Aventura had that Cabana Bay didn't was a little tablet.
Yes, so we'll talk about that a little more. I do have to say, I liked the bed at Cabana Bay a little bit more, and I'm not gonna say that I liked a lot about Cabana Bay more, but I will say I like the bed a little better. But yeah, so Aventura is a very modern hotel, and they have an iPad which you can do pretty much everything from in your room. So you can talk to the staff, you can order towels, you can
turn on the TV,
turn on the lights, beds. There is a tablet. You can control almost everything on here, the TV, the lights. You can chat with the front desk, so lots of things.
It's
temperature. You can do everything from that tablet, so it's really nice just to have it all in one place, whereas Cabana Bay is more retro, so they definitely don't have the iPads. It's, if you like retro kind of decorated stuff like 50s and 60s, then you'll love it. But if you like more of like a sleek modern look, that was one thing we're going to talk about, so we'll talk about that now, with the theming. Yeah, so Cabana Bay is basically kind of 50s, 60s themed, and then Aventura is like very sleek and modern. I've heard some people say that Aventura was sterile, but for me personally, loving like a really simple, minimal look for things, I really liked it. It was very much my style anyway. So, who did you think had better theming overall?
I really liked Aventura's because, you know, Cabana's, it was okay, but having all that control on that one iPod.
That iPad was nice. Yeah, that iPad was nice. So let's move on to something that's not really as comparable. So let's talk about the pools. Honestly, the pool at Aventura is very small for how large a resort it is. Now we should mention that Aventura has about, I'm going to butcher this because I didn't write it down. I want to say Aventura has 800 rooms and Cabana Bay has like 2,500. I could be horribly wrong here, so if that's wrong, I'll put the actual stats up here. I don't even have my phone out here with me now. So Aventura is a larger resort. Now when we were visiting earlier this month, only half of the resort was open. So it was, not as much of the resort was open. But anyway, we're talking about the pools. Sorry, I went off on a tangent again. So the pool at Aventura is quite small for how many rooms the hotel has. Now, Cabana Bay has 2 pools, but when we were there, only one of them was open.
Yes.
So you talk about the pools, because you're more of a pool person than me. I'll just be over here.
Thank you. Okay, so as Mom mentioned, there are 2 pools at Cabana Bay. Now, one of them, as she said, was closed. So was half the resorts, apparently.
The one with the slide was closed, which we were pretty bummed about because we weren't told that before we were there. But the one with the lazy river was open. Yeah. So anyway, the lazy river was pretty fun. I mean, you can't really compare these two because obviously the pool at Cabana Bay was just a lot nicer. However, it was very crowded. For half the resort being open, it was extremely crowded.
Yes.
Because we were told that each of the resorts were very low capacity while we were there, and it felt like every single person staying at the resort was in the pool. And Aventura, it wasn't like that at all. There was a lot of room in the little bitty pool. So it was a nice pool. It was just not a large pool for the capacity of the hotel. And then, however, I will say that Cabana Bay's pool was closed almost the entire time we stayed at Cabana Bay. Well. Here's the scene of the pool at Cabana Bay, the pool that's open, supposed to be open. So the other pool that's on the other side of the resort is closed, as I think I mentioned already. And this one has been closed all day, so it rained a lot earlier. So, totally understand that. But I've talked to the front desk, and I've talked to Twitter, and, not Twitter, but Universal on Twitter. And, yeah. Don't know why it's closed today. They said it was going to open up again. They said they were working on reopening it. That was a couple hours ago. So, pretty much the main draw to staying at Cabana Bay is the pool and the lazy river. So, this kind of sucks. And so, that wasn't a great experience. Let's talk about the staff. The team members that work at the resort, they were amazing at both resorts. I mean, Universal has the best employees, so thank you, Universal employees. We really had a great experience chatting with the security guard on the top floor of Aventura. He kind of stopped and was he stopped us and was talking to us. He said, "Oh, you can see the sunset over here." So we were just going up to the top floor just to kind of check it out. And he was pointing out different things at Disney because he said he'd worked for Disney for years before. He was showing Kanan different things at Disney and talking to us about, little Disney secrets and Universal secrets. And of course, I'm a travel agent, I knew these. But Kanan didn't know a lot of these things, and so, or some of them he did. But still, it was fun. He was super friendly. The front desk was great at both. If I had to pick one that was better, it would be Aventura. I really love the staff at Aventura. They did upgrade us to a really amazing room. Although, we were technically upgraded at both resorts. So at Aventura, they put us on a high floor. I mean, it was amazing. We had a theme park view. We loved it. And then at Cabana Bay, instead of having a standard room, we were put in a pool view room. But honestly, I wasn't a huge fan because it was really loud by the pool. And we were up on the 5th floor, but it was still pretty loud at night. The one day that the pool was open, it was pretty loud. The day the pool was closed, it was pretty quiet. Go ahead.
One part of the staff I thought was very interesting at Aventura. since it has a modern theme, they actually had a few robots that could deliver some of the items to you.
How's that for social distancing?
Yes.
Yes. But unfortunately, sometimes these robots seem to have minds of their own, so we kept trying to order things from the robots because the security gentleman that we mentioned told us you have to order something and have the robots bring it up. And we'd seen the robots, but we didn't know what they did. And so we ordered like some extra washcloths because we needed some. And then we felt so bad because the person delivered them. And so we got on the iPad and we said, hey, we need some more coffee. Can the robot bring it up? And they tried. And it wouldn't cooperate. It wouldn't come to the 16th floor. So, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm sure it's really cool when they're working correctly. Yeah, you can order something to be brought up to your room as long as it fits in like a box. The robot can bring it up. So, yes, excellent staff at Aventura. So another thing where Cabana Bay is kind of the clear winner would just be things to do at the resort, because Cabana Bay is a larger resort and does have more. They have a bowling alley. They have, both resorts have a nice fitness room. Especially Aventura is really quite nice. We kept trying to go in and take a look at it. We were going to film, but there were always people there, so that was kind of difficult. They both have a Starbucks, obviously they both have restaurants, so, but I would say that Cabana Bay is a tad bit more family friendly, so they have a little bit more as far as family activities go. That said, you're probably already guessing which one we like more, but let's talk about access to the parks, because this is one thing we can touch on really quickly. Obviously, Universal does have transportation running 24/7, or not 24/7, but all day long and then pretty late in the evening. So they have bus transportation going. However, at Aventura, you can easily walk across over to Sapphire Falls and take the water taxi. Now, if you were staying at Cabana Bay, you could technically walk over to Sapphire Falls, but you have to go like way down and around, and it wouldn't really be worth it. So at Cabana Bay, your option is pretty much buses, unless you want to go to Volcano Bay, which you can walk. You can just walk there. So that's pretty handy. And you can walk to the parks from either one. And they have a really beautiful garden walk that you can do, but there's really no reason unless you just really want to, because the water taxis and buses are running all the time. But we really liked the water taxi. That was a lot of fun. So it technically is from Sapphire Falls, but it's no big deal for you to just walk over there and take the water taxi. I was told by another travel agent prior to going to Universal that they weren't letting you do that. So say if you are just going to Universal, but you technically aren't staying in a resort, they've always let you take their transportation. If you want to ride the water taxi to the resort, they don't care because they want you to stay there, so they want you to see it. Well, I was told that if you were staying, say, at Aventura, that you were not able to take the water taxi from Sapphire Falls. That's what a travel agent told me. But when I checked in to Aventura, the front desk told me, hey, you can go over to Sapphire Falls and do the water taxi. And it was not a big deal. So if someone has told you that, just know that that's not true, at least not right now. You're still able to do the transportation from any other resort. I don't believe, I was also told that you weren't allowed to pool hop, and then they told us that you could. So I wish that we would have done that. Don't listen to what people say that don't know what they're talking about. So I don't know where this other travel agent got her information, but she was incorrect. But yeah, I mean, the access to the parks is really easy from both. I would say Aventura wins on that, just because you can do water taxi or take a bus. So go ahead. What was your favorite resort and why?
It was Aventura.
We just liked, yeah, we liked the look of it. The staff, they were all amazing. The iPad, being able to control everything in your room was really cool. The pool was nice. It was a nice pool. I mean, it wasn't huge, but it was a nice little pool. The only thing that wasn't open was the hot tubs right now, just because I think it would be hard to maintain distancing. Oh, and I don't think we've talked about this, but you don't have to wear a mask while lounging at the pool or in the pool, obviously.
No.
But you're supposed to technically wear it on the pool deck, but we noticed most people didn't, and they weren't really enforcing that, because if you're just kind of walking to like get a towel from your lounge chair and there's no one around you, I don't think anybody's going to say anything. I mean, we always had them with us, but basically when you get out on the pool deck, no one seems to really care if you take them off, as long as you're, 6 feet from other people. So So yeah, Aventura was a definite winner for me. We didn't want to leave. Whenever we checked out of Aventura, we didn't want to leave. And then once we got to Cabana Bay, and we just kind of had problem after problem after problem at Cabana Bay, we really wanted to just go back. One more thing to touch on is that Aventura is smaller than Cabana Bay, but it's vertical because there's 17 floors, or 16 with rooms. So everything is very easy to access via elevator. Now at Cabana Bay, everything is very spread out. So there's a really good chance that you're going to get a room that's really, really far away from transportation and from the front desk. So if that's something that's important to you, because especially if you have young kids and when you're out just walking the parks all day, when you get back, you may not want to walk 6 miles to your room. So you may want to ask for a room that's close to the front desk. Because we got a room that was almost as far away as you could be, and it was really far. It was really far.
Yes.
We had to walk a lot to get anywhere. So it was not ideal because at Aventura, once you got there, you just shoot up the elevator and go to your room, and it was easy. But at Cabana Bay, it's so spread out. I mean, you're doing so much walking already, it's just not worth it. Oh, and I know we've already talked about transportation, but when you take the water taxi, you are already at City Walk. You're not at the very beginning where security is, because you do your security actually at the resort. So it actually does cut off quite a bit of walking to take the water taxi.
Yeah, you're already like halfway through City Walk.
Yeah, you're already quite a way. You're very close to the entrance to either Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios. So those are just our thoughts. You stated both. Let me know which one you liked more. I know we're kind of in the minority here. It seems like everybody said Cabana Bay is so much better, and I totally disagree. But you know what? You do you. If you think you're going to like Cabana Bay better, then by all means, stay at Cabana Bay, because it was a great hotel. It just wasn't the one that we preferred, for sure. And if you're planning an Orlando vacation and you're going to Universal, I would love to talk with you. I book Universal Orlando all the time. I also book Disney trips. So if you're planning and getting a little overwhelmed, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you out. And make sure to subscribe so that you can see more of our Universal Orlando content, and then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have a new video. That's it, and we'll see you soon. Max says, please